is Kenneth Freelain, and I'm going to be your host for today's edition of International Definition. Today on International Definition, we're going to feature the Engineering Careers Symposium here on the Tacoma Park / Silver Spring campus of Montgomery College. Our guest today is Bill Primosch, and he is the president of the SEIU Local 500. That's a union which he's going to be telling us about. Bill, it's good to have you on the show.
Ken, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm delighted to be here and have this opportunity to talk with you today about what part-time faculty are interested in, the contributions we make, and also about our part-time faculty union here at Montgomery College.
Now, let me first ask you, how did the union get started?
The union got started about 6 years ago, and a core of people were active in trying to think about how we can improve support for part-time faculty, with the recognition that part-time faculty are teaching about 50% of the courses at Montgomery College. Nationwide, in other colleges, it's up to 70 or 80%. Most students, most of the general public, and I think the county government that even supports us, do not recognize the important role that we've been playing at the college, but yet we have not been fully integrated into the college faculty as full-time faculty are, and our compensation is also only a fraction of what the full-time faculty is. So a small group decided that something needed to be done, and they started the drive to form a part-time faculty union here at Montgomery College.
Well, let me ask you, why did part-time faculty want a union?
Well, there are several different reasons why we thought a union was important. Part-time faculty for years have felt that they were not really part of the team of the college, and this relates to the history of how part-time faculty came to teach at not only Montgomery College but other colleges. We were hired on a course-by-course basis to kind of fill in where there weren't enough full-time faculty. The compensation for part-time faculty was only a fraction of what the full-time faculty were compensated for the very same courses. Also, part-time faculty did not have office space, unlike full-time faculty that had their departments in which they had offices. They did not have places to meet with students. Frequently, they did not have adequate supplies or access to computers so they could do their work and do their class preparations. So it was a combination, Ken, of problems that motivated this small group to encourage the formation of a part-time faculty union.
I have here a copy of the current catalog for Montgomery College. This is the catalog which begins in 2013 and it will end in 2014. If you look in this catalog, you'll see on page 420, it lists the full-time faculty members on the Germantown campus. And then if you go to page 425, it lists the full-time faculty members on the Rockville campus. And then if you go to page 439, it will list the full-time faculty members on the Tacoma Park / Silver Spring campus. And then, if you go here to page 446, there's a little box. Bill, could you please read that box?
Yes, it's a box about 1 inch high, and I'm just taking up one of the two columns, and it says part-time faculty. Approximately 1,000 part-time faculty teach in the day, evening, distance, and weekend credit programs at all Montgomery College campuses annually. are, Ken, no names listed, even though many of these part-time instructors have been teaching at the college for years. And that is also, Ken, one of the issues that disturbs part-time faculty is they have been teaching at the college for years. Many of the students have recommended them to other students to take courses, and yet they're not recognized either in the catalog listing their names, or even on many of the department websites do not include the names of part-time faculty. So yes, that was another issue of concern.
Is those subtle stigmas, those undercurrents that carry implications, which say, if you look at the in the dictionary, the definition of adjunct means not part of the main body. It's not part of the overall organization. And then I counted, now these are approximations, which may or may not have changed since the catalog was printed. But let's say that in Germantown you had about 100 full-time faculty. And then in Rockville you have roughly, approximately, about 344 full-time faculty members. And then here in Tacoma Park you have roughly, approximately 161 full-time faculty members. So that the total would come up to approximately, say, 605 full-time faculty members. And compare that to what Bill just read, and he got 1,000 adjunct faculty members, which means that the adjunct faculty members outnumber the full-time faculty members, which means that what you're doing is important. You represent the majority of the faculty.
Well, in fact, the college itself could not function without the teaching of part-time faculty. And the thought that, as you alluded to, Ken, earlier, that despite the fact that the college depends on these part-time faculties to offer the wide array of courses both in the day and in the evening, and yet there is this feeling among us that we're second-class citizens. And I think you hit that right on the head. Of somehow we're not really part of the team, we don't have the same support, and I think just as importantly, the same sense of recognition that we are part of this faculty that the full-time instructors have.
Have you heard it said that the most important sound in any language, the most important sound to a person is his own name? If you look in the catalog, your name's not there, you may say, gee, am I unimportant? Am I not part of this team? What have you accomplished since the part-time faculty first began to organize here at Montgomery College?
Well, I think we've accomplished a lot, and one is ensuring that the college really understands, and those that are all the stakeholders in the college, including the county council and the broader community, including the business community, and hopefully our students as well, understand the critical role that we play in the success of the college. And I think we have, particularly with Dr. Pollard, who is in many ways a visionary in terms of her belief that we should have one faculty, one college, even though we have 3 campuses, one student body, and that we all have to be working together. That has been very helpful for us in terms of gaining that recognition. But in terms of practical things that we have accomplished, for example, we are focusing on improving office space for part-time faculty. We're starting to see some progress there. We have had a series of negotiations for contracts over the past 6 years, in which we now have greater certainty of the courses that we'll teach. We can request 1-year assignments, for example, which we couldn't do in the past. We also have access to the college's flexible healthcare spending accounts, which is something new. So there are several different practical issues that have been resolved by having the faculty represented by an organization, and particularly by a very experienced one, the Service Employees International Union and their Chapter 500.
How does what happened here at Montgomery College relate to higher education in America in general?
I think the issues that we're raising at, through our union at Montgomery College are issues that are widespread and common in many colleges, both community colleges and four-year colleges around the country. Over the past weekend, the Service Employees International Union sponsored a conference for part-time faculty here in Washington through the Coalition for Academic Labor, in which we had an opportunity to hear the experiences of part-time instructors in New Jersey, in California, in North Carolina, a number of different colleges around the country. And it was amazing how, unfortunately, part-time faculty have the same kinds of issues: the lack of recognition, the lack of support, the lack of compensation on an equal level with their full-time counterparts. So I think what happens at Montgomery College is in effect going to be a kind of model, not only for our broader metropolitan area. For the state of Maryland, we have many community colleges. Almost all do not have part-time faculty unions. And I think other colleges around the country are going to look to us to see how we can succeed in not only improving support for part-time faculty, improving their compensation, but also, and I think this is, I want to stress this, is our goal is the same as the goal of full-time faculty and of the college administration. We want student success. We want to be able to work as a team with all parts of the college to enable students to succeed not only academically, but also in their careers. And I think this cooperative relationship between the union and the college can help do that.
And you realize this is the Engineering Careers Club. You mentioned careers. You want to see that the students can, after they graduate, can go out into a professional field and find success.
Absolutely, and part of my teaching responsibilities includes a course in international affairs and in global affairs. And like many of your students, and I think, I'm sure, Ken, you appreciate the fact that the marketplace is so much more competitive today than it was years ago, because students are not only competing in the large American marketplace, but they're really competing in the global marketplace. And there are smart young people in India, in China, and Brazil that want to do the same kinds of work, particularly in engineering. China in particular is graduating an enormous number of engineers. In India, software engineering is also very prominent. They have to compete against these students in other countries, so we have to be sure that they have the skills and appreciate the level of excellence that they need to succeed in that kind of competition.
What would you say is next for the part-time faculty union?
Well, I think we see this as a progression of moving forward, step by step, to have a fuller integration of part-time faculty into the entire faculty, so that we can play our role more effectively, that we have more support that enables us to teach more effectively, that we have more support, including office space or meeting space to meet with students, so we can mentor them and provide support and help them succeed. So we see this as a continual progression forward and upward in terms of trying to achieve a level of excellence at Montgomery College where full-time faculty and part-time faculty are working together as an effective team that is helping our students.
If adjunct faculty members are watching this show, and if they would like to have some additional information, whom should they contact?
Well, they can contact me directly. Again, I'm in the faculty directory, the faculty white pages, William Primosch. That's Primosch. Maybe the easiest thing to do, an easier name to remember, is just SEIU 500, which is the local chapter of the Service Employees International Union. And if faculty members would go to that website, they could link directly with the union and the officers of the union, including myself. We have a representative on all three campuses, on Germantown, in Rockville, and here at Tacoma Park, Silver Spring campus. So there's someone on campus they can meet with. There's also campus councils that they can join and participate in. I think the most important thing they need to do is, the first step is to become involved, join the union, become part of our voice, organized voice with the college, with the community, so that they can make their views known and that they can have an influence on the direction of the union and also the direction for part-time faculty in the future.
Would you say that there is a stigma which tends to make adjunct faculty members reluctant to speak up?
Unfortunately, there is, and I think the predominant concern I hear from part-time faculty members is, and this is unfortunate, that they feel that, well, if we join the union, maybe it will hurt us, maybe we won't, maybe this will be viewed as some kind of hostile act by their department, by members of the college administration. And I can assure you, Ken, that I've talked with Dr. Pollard. She is very open and supportive of our partnership. They shouldn't be concerned about that. The other concern is that, well, joining a union, that's not something that college professors do. That's something for people working at an auto plant. But the Service Employees International Union represents George Washington University, Georgetown University, American University. They are organizing at Howard University. So this is an organization that knows the teaching profession and knows part-time faculty. So they shouldn't have that concern that somehow this is a union which wouldn't appreciate some of their unique characteristics as a workforce.
What factors would tend to interfere with communications between various adjunct faculty members?
The challenge we have as adjunct faculty, as part-time instructors, is that we are coming to campus at different times. We don't have an office. It's very difficult to get everyone together on campus at the same time. So we have to rely on email communication. We're also now examining how we can better use social media, which so many of our younger part-time faculty feel comfortable with. But that is a challenge. How do you communicate with instructors who are coming and going at different times, who don't have, in some campuses, there isn't even an adequate place for them to meet on campus. So this is a real challenge, and we're working on that. We're trying to develop some more innovative ways, and actually this can be part of it, is having this opportunity to meet with you and to talk with your engineering club, your engineering careers club, and reach out to students and other faculty involved in the engineering departments.
Very good. Would you say that there is some financial difference in the levels of compensation which are received by adjunct faculty members as opposed to full-time faculty members?
Ken, this is an objective reality, and it's not only at Montgomery College, it's at most community colleges as well as full-time, four-year universities. Part-time faculty are paid about 50%, sometimes as low as 30%, what a full-time faculty member would receive for teaching the very same course to the very same standards. And frankly, this just isn't fair. And it is not only unfair, but it doesn't provide the kind of incentive you need to have a stable faculty, a stable group of instructors who will commit to the teaching profession over the long term. And there are a lot of different reasons why instructors choose to teach part-time rather than full-time. Some do not want to teach, so they have family responsibilities. Perhaps they have a career that they want to also pursue. So there are a lot of different reasons, but compensation is a glaring difference between full-time faculty and part-time faculty, and that needs to be addressed if we're going to have a high-performing institution of excellence over the long term.
You know, there's this dichotomy, this separation of good versus bad, right versus wrong, fair versus unfair, the just as opposed to the unjust. And people naturally tend to think of unions as being in a good position to address those differences, because that dichotomy has been around ever since human beings have been organized into working units. Even before the unions were originated, there were people who would exploit their workers, take advantage of, a country wins a war, so they get one country subject to their will. The empires specialized in exploiting the labor of the people who were vulnerable. So we tend to think of the unions as being in a position to kind of create a level playing field for everybody. It was, I'm sure you can remember Cesar Chavez, who, he used to point out the hardships of the farm workers. And would you see the unions as being in a position to kind of make the world a better place, a little more equitable for everybody? Do you see a need for that balance?
There is a need for that balance, and unions provide that opportunity for groups to organize and to have influence and power. I had a career as a diplomat at the U.S. State Department, but following that, I was involved with a business organization and did lobbying not only at the White House, but on Capitol Hill and with government agencies. And one of the things that became sharply clear to me as I was doing this work was how important it is to have an organization stand behind you so that people will listen to you and take you seriously. And many college administrations have said to part-time instructors, we understand there's a problem, we have to do something about it, but unless you have an organization behind you, and a good one like the Service Employees International Union, it's one thing for people in power to express sympathy, it's another to address the grievances and put the kind of organized pressure that is needed to get people in power to take you seriously. And that's why the unions are so important, whether it is at the workplace, in a factory, or whether it is among part-time faculty at a college.
You can be right, but if nobody listens to you, what's the point?
That's right. You have to be organized to be taken seriously, and I think that is the lesson of our history as a country in terms of how our economy has evolved and how labor has evolved over the years.
Well, our guest today has been Bill Primosch. He's the president of the SEIU Local 500. And he's been giving us some information that pertains not only to engineering faculty members, of course engineering faculty members, but all faculty members in general. His particular emphasis is on the adjunct faculty members. I hope you've enjoyed our program today. I'm glad that you were able to join us for today's edition of International Definition. And now, until our next broadcast, I'm your host, Kenneth Freelain, thanking you for joining us today.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. It's good to have you on the show.